Welcome to 15 Minutes Health, your source for clear, evidence-based insights in nutrition, neuroscience, longevity, and everyday wellness. Each video delivers science you can trust, designed to help you build a stronger, healthier life, all in under 15 minutes. Subscribe to the channel so you never miss practical, science-backed tools that can improve your health for the rest of your life.
Stress. It's a word we all use, probably every single day. But do we really get what's happening under the hood, biologically, when we feel it? When stress isn't managed, it doesn't just feel bad. It actually degrades our ability to think, to focus, and to perform at our best. So today, we're going to dive deep into the science of it all. We'll look at the key hormones and the parts of your brain that are running the show. And most importantly, I'm going to give you a toolkit of science-backed protocols that you can start using literally today to get a handle on your own biology. And look, this is not some small niche problem. The latest data shows that a whopping 70% of people, that's 7 out of every 10 of us, are feeling the effects of stress and burnout right now. This is one of the biggest health issues we're facing. So if you've been feeling overwhelmed, you're not alone. Far from it. The key, though, is to understand what's actually going on inside your brain and your body, because that's the first step to changing it. All right, let's get into it. To really get a grip on stress, you have to understand this fundamental battle that's happening inside your brain. It's between two main players. On one side, you've got your prefrontal cortex. It's the part of your brain right behind your forehead. You can think of it as your brain's CEO. It's in charge of planning, logic, and making rational decisions. But when stress hits, another region tries to take over, the amygdala. This is a tiny, almond-shaped area deep inside the brain, and it's your alarm system. It's only focused on one thing, survival. And when your amygdala is in charge, you are basically in caveman mode. All that thoughtful, logical processing goes right out the window. So, here's our game plan. First, we're going to unpack the cortisol rhythm, which is your body's master clock for energy. Then we'll talk about how to anchor your morning to set that rhythm up for success. After that, we'll get into the amygdala hijack, what's happening when that alarm system takes over. From there, I'll show you how to reset your nervous system in the moment. And finally, we'll look at the long game, how to actually rewire your brain for more resilience. Okay, first up, let's tackle the most misunderstood hormone in this whole equation, cortisol. You've probably heard it called the stress hormone, right? Well, that's really not the full picture, not even close. If we want to control it, we have to start by understanding what it really is. So, cortisol isn't the bad guy here. In fact, you absolutely need it to live. Its main job is to manage and deploy energy. Think of it less as a stress hormone and more as an energy deployment hormone. When you need to get up in the morning or focus for a big meeting, cortisol triggers the release of glucose, that's blood sugar, into your system, and it sends that fuel to the places that need it most, especially your brain. You need a healthy pulse of cortisol to feel awake, alert, and ready to tackle your day. Now take a look at this. Cortisol follows a really predictable 24-hour cycle. In a healthy system, you get this big, sharp peak of cortisol first thing in the morning, usually between 6 and 9 a.m. This is called the cortisol awakening response, and it's literally what wakes you up and gets you going. Then, as the day goes on, those levels should slowly and gradually fall. They should hit their lowest point late at night, between about 10 p.m. and 2 a.m., which is absolutely critical for deep sleep. Then in the very early morning hours, it starts to slowly rise again, preparing you to wake up and do it all over again. Getting this rhythm right is a massive lever for your health. So, how does your body manage this whole rhythm? It's all controlled by a pathway called the HPA axis. That stands for hypothalamic pituitary adrenal. Let's walk through it. It all starts in your brain, when the hypothalamus sends out a signal. That signal tells the pituitary gland to send out a second signal. That second signal then travels down to your adrenal glands, which are these little glands that sit right on top of your kidneys, and tells them, okay, time to release cortisol. But here's the beautiful part. Your brain is always listening. It senses when cortisol levels in your blood get high enough, and that tells the hypothalamus to shut off the first signal. It's a self-regulating loop, an off switch designed to keep the whole system in balance. Okay, so knowing all this gives us a huge advantage. Because that big, important cortisol peak happens first thing in the morning, we can use specific, simple behaviors to make sure it's a strong and healthy one. This is how you proactively set yourself up for a better, lower stress day. So here's a simple protocol with 4 key pillars. First, and this is the big one, get bright light into your eyes within the first hour after you wake up. Sunlight is the absolute best for this. That one thing can boost your morning cortisol peak by as much as 50%, setting your body's clock for the entire day. Second, hydrate. Your adrenal glands are working hard and need water to function well. Third, and this might be tough for some of you, try to delay your caffeine for about 60 to 90 minutes after you wake up. This lets your body's natural cortisol peak happen on its own, which can help you avoid that brutal afternoon crash later. And finally, get some movement in. Exercising in the first 3 hours of your day is another powerful way to anchor your body's rhythm. But what happens when that healthy rhythm gets thrown out of whack by chronic, relentless stress? Well, this is when that alarm system we talked about, the amygdala, hijacks the controls from your rational CEO, the prefrontal cortex.
This quote just nails it. When the amygdala takes over, all your higher-level thinking pretty much goes offline. And this isn't just a metaphor, it's a real neurological event. Blood flow actually gets diverted away from your prefrontal cortex and towards these more primitive, reactive parts of the brain. Your brain is no longer thinking about long-term goals or complex problems. It's in pure survival mode, just scanning for threats.
So how do you know if this is happening to you? Well, you might notice a really loud inner critic, that voice in your head that's just tearing you down. That's your amygdala trying to protect you by pointing out everything that could go wrong. You might feel super irritable, quick to snap. You might feel hypervigilant, just constantly on edge. And because your brain's CEO is offline, trying to think about long-term goals feels overwhelming, maybe even impossible.
Here's the problem. Our amygdala evolved to deal with short-term physical threats, like a tiger jumping out of the bushes. Once the tiger was gone, the system could reset and calm down. But modern life doesn't have tigers. Instead, it bombards us with a constant drip, drip, drip of psychological stressors. These are our modern tigers. Work deadlines, money worries, traffic, the 24-hour news cycle, even just the constant dings from our phones. To your amygdala, these all register as threats, and it keeps that alarm bell ringing all day long. And this creates this nasty, vicious cycle. It starts with that alarm system being stuck in the on position. That triggers these primitive, threat-scanning behaviors. For example, have you ever found yourself endlessly scrolling through bad news? That's doom scrolling. It's the modern version of a night watchman scanning the horizon for danger. Your brain feels unsafe, so it's desperately looking for information. This often leads to revenge bedtime procrastination, staying up way too late because you feel like the day wasn't yours and you're trying to reclaim some time. But all that does is mess up your sleep, which messes up your cortisol the next day, which, you guessed it, makes your amygdala even more reactive. It's a loop that's hard to break. So when you feel that happening, when you're feeling irritable, you're overwhelmed, you're reaching for your phone to start scrolling, you need a tool to break that cycle right in the moment. And the key is to learn how to manually take control of your nervous system. To do that, we need to look at the two gears of your nervous system. Think of it like a car. You've got the sympathetic system, that's your accelerator. It's your fight or flight response. It revs you up, gets your heart racing, and makes your breathing fast and shallow. Then you've got the parasympathetic system. That's your brake. It's your rest and digest state. It calms you down and promotes recovery. Now here's the thing. You can't have the accelerator and the brake on at the same time. And, incredibly, you have a direct, physical switch that lets you slam on the brakes anytime you want, your breath. A long, slow exhale is a direct signal to your brain that says, "We're safe, stand down," and that activates the parasympathetic brake. So here is one of the simplest, fastest tools you can possibly use. It's called the Stop, Breathe, Be method. It takes 3 seconds. First, whatever you're doing, just stop. Plant your feet on the floor and feel them there. That physically grounds you. Second, take one single deep belly breath. A nice slow inhale and an even slower exhale. That's you manually hitting the brake on your nervous system. And third, just be. Bring your awareness right here, to this moment. See, anxiety lives in the future. It's all about what if. This simple reset yanks you out of that future spiral and back to the present, giving your prefrontal cortex a chance to come back online. Now, putting out fires in the moment is crucial. But what about the long game? What if we could make our brains more fireproof? We don't just want to manage stress. We want to build a brain that is fundamentally more resilient to it. And we can do that by using the power of neuroplasticity.
This is such a critical idea. Your brain is not set in stone. It physically changes based on what you pay attention to and what you do repeatedly. Think of it like building a muscle. When you're constantly worried and stressed, you're doing reps for the danger detection circuits in your brain, making them stronger and faster. But the good news is you can intentionally train other circuits. You can choose to focus on different things and over time literally change the structure and function of your brain.
There's a fantastic metaphor for this. The stressed brain is like Velcro for negative experiences and Teflon for positive ones. Because of that built-in survival bias, any bad thing that happens sticks hard. But the good stuff, it just slides right off without leaving a mark. The whole point of a practice like gratitude is to reverse that. You're training your brain to actively look for, notice, and hold on to the positive things, making it more like Teflon for the negative stuff over time.
So here's a super simple, evidence-based protocol to do that. Get a real journal, pen and paper, and keep it by your bed. Try not to use your phone because the phone itself can hijack your attention. Every day, just write down 5 specific things you're grateful for. And here's the key. Also write down why you're grateful for them. That little step deepens the process. And then you just have to be consistent. The research shows it takes about 8 weeks of doing this consistently to really start building those new neural pathways that turn down the volume on the amygdala.
So, let's just tie this all together. Your toolkit really has 3 layers. You can work proactively every single morning to set your cortisol rhythm up for success with light, water, and movement. You can work reactively in those moments of high stress to reset your nervous system using your breath. And you can work systematically over the long haul to build a more resilient brain through small, consistent practices like gratitude.
Look, this is not about completely overhauling your life overnight. Real, lasting change comes from small, consistent actions that you can actually stick with. It's about understanding your own biology and just running some little experiments to see what works for you. So the question I want to leave you with is this. What is the one small reset, the one small tool, a 5-minute walk in the morning sun, one deep breath when you feel stressed, writing down one thing you're grateful for that you will commit to trying today? That one small step is how you begin to take back control of your own nervous system.
Thanks for watching 15 Minutes Health. If this video helped you, consider subscribing. Your support allows us to keep creating clear, science-backed content to help you stay healthier, stronger, and better informed. See you in the next video.